You also known as Duck Corella?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent to
You
criminate.
got any business?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of intent to criminate.
You have any profession?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent
You have
to
any
criminate.
occupation?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent
Are
to
you a
criminate.
known racketeer?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent to criminate.
Officer named Winkleman of the Elizabeth
You ever
Police.
get any money from Costello?
No.
And did you ever?
Well, no, absolutely. I've never got any money from Costello. Welcome to the Smoke Show, folks, our Sunday night cooking show. We've got two great dishes we're going to talk about tonight. One is smoked lobster, and another is smoked Japanese chicken wings out of Minnesota, believe it or not. Both of them look outstanding. But tonight we've got Big Ron. Big Ron is the mastermind behind the smoked lobster. And we've got Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is the mastermind of being becoming a creator on X. Congratulations to that, Wayne. Bruce Wayne.
Thank you, sir.
I guess we're in the midst of a bit of a celebrity here with us tonight, but that's cool. We're waiting on Jason to get in, and I think a couple of others that are supposed to join us. They're running a little bit late, but Big Ron, tell me about the lobsters. I think there was a conversation that we had that you didn't like lobsters, and then I hear like less than 4 or 5 days later you're smoking those. So how'd that happen?
What the wife wants, the wife gets. Yeah, I'm actually not a big fan of seafood in general, which is kind of weird given the fact that I live in a very seafood rich state, so to speak. I eat shrimps, some sushis. Depends on how the crab is cooked, but in general, fish, lobster, crab legs, claws. I don't like it. Never have. I'm a strange person.
So when you cook these, are you saying you didn't taste these lobster tails?
I did not taste them one bit. I know that is a major no-no. Gordon Ramsay would have my ass, but it is what it is. So, but I was definitely told, as you will see in the video, by those that did eat them at the house, they were satisfactory.
Well, they absolutely look delicious. Bruce Wayne, what do you think about that? Could you cook lobster tails and not partake, just a taste?
Yeah, I would partake. I can't turn down food. I'm not a big fan of lobster myself, but I would definitely eat it the way that Ron's been smoking them.
Thanks, Bruce.
I don't think I've ever had lobster in a way that I didn't like it, but a grilled lobster tail opened up just like you did yours, Ron, I think is one of the best meals ever.
I will tell you what, getting those lobster tails to pop open like that, and I'm sure you saw when you were setting up the videos, was a nightmare.
Yeah, it looked like you were struggling with it a little bit. There might be some techniques that would help you out on that.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I was trying to follow the directions and recipes that I found, and no matter how hard I tried, it just got to the point where I was going to use brute force. I'm good at brute force.
What I always do is I kind of cut, instead of one cut, I cut two to give myself some finger room. And you reach in there about 3/4 away from the tail towards the head. Just put your fingers there. You can break all that flesh loose, kind of work it all the way to the top, and then you've got enough broke loose where you can take the one hand and you can bend it so the opening's wide enough, and you can pop that lobster tail right out, leave it connected at the tail, and drop it right on top of the shell.
Gotcha.
But we'll talk about that because I've got your video. In fact, let's go to it. Give me just a second here. I'm having a mouse problem, but here we go. This is Lobster by Big Ron. A little appropriate music for the seafood.
I was just digging that out. I would like to know that's my favorite butter right there.
Okay, I'm gonna pause this. So what do we got here? We've got your swamp seasoning I see in the green that you always use. So I see that in the picture, right?
Yeah, I've got my Everglades seasoning. This setup right here, most of this is going to be for the actual butter dipping sauce and the basting sauce that I'm going to make towards the end. But I did use the GSP and the Everglades seasoning for the base seasoning on the lobster. I didn't want to go too heavy. I know lobster's supposed to have a sweet flavor to it. It's natural flavor, so I didn't want to overpower the actual flavor of the meat of the lobster. So I didn't go very heavy on the seasoning.
So you pretty much just salt and pepper this and some light seasoning, right? Besides the butter.
Yeah, yes, basically salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic, some other seasonings on there, and that was it. Just very lightly. You can season to your own tastes.
Well, let's watch it begin. Okay, now this is interesting. This is the first time on the Smoke Show that we actually have a toolkit or a tool list of required tools for the task. So we've got sharp kitchen shears, rubber gloves or cotton work gloves, a basting brush, and a good quality thermometer. So let's talk about the shears. So you use scissors to cut the shells, right?
Yeah, I use cooking shears or cooking scissors to shear the shells. That's a definite must to get through that thicker outer casing through that exoskeleton.
Sure enough. And you wore gloves to solve that. Do you have anything actually on this list? Do you actually comply with that at 100%?
Yeah, I use it all. I use it all.
Let's take a look. And here's where the struggle begins here. Okay, so there you got the shears. So you've got your lobster tails and you're cutting it from body to pause there. You're cutting it from body to tail there, right? Was that the difficult task you're talking about?
A bit. Going from basically the head section towards the tail, getting through each one of those plates was a bit of a struggle, but it was more so trying to pop those open to get underneath that meat.
Okay. So there, it looks like you're kind of wrenching it open there. Looks like the tail's already cut. And then now you're taking the legs off. Am I right?
Yeah, I just didn't like the way the legs looked. It's more aesthetically pleasing without those legs on the bottom.
Okay. All right, so here we are where I've got it frozen. That's you. You're wrenching it up. So what's your goal here? Is to open that up and do what with the tail, the meat?
I want to get the meat to pop up out of the tail just a little bit so that it will take the smoke. It'll be easier to baste, and it gives it more of an aesthetic look when you put it on the plate.
And that is the proper way to grill one for sure. I've grilled them many times, and so what you want to do if no one's ever done it is you want to cut just like you saw in the video. You want to cut it, get it spread open, and reach in. You can take that piece of the whole tail portion of the meat. You can kind of pinch it loose from where it's connected on the bottom, and you can pop it outside of the shell. Let the shell close. Let the shell kind of do what it does. It'll close back up, and you can lay it on top of the shell for the cook, which is the best way to do it for both basting and. But I've never smoked it, so I'm interested to see how this works. So that's what you're working on here, right?
It is, yes.
Okay, this is the GSP you're speaking of. What is GSP?
It's just a general purpose seasoning. It's like seasonal. I like it a little bit better than seasonal. Salt, pepper, garlic. I think there's some parsley, some thyme in there, just some other generalized ingredients.
That's interesting. Did you do any salt and pepper? Or was this the only seasoning you put on?
Those are the only seasonings I use, given the fact that those and the Everglades seasoning that I use has salt and pepper in it. I didn't want it to go too overpowering when I use those seasonings and drown out the flavors. You can always add salt to something. You can never take it away.
I'm in the school of thought that you only have one time to salt it, and the other time you're just putting salt on top of it. But one time to salt it. But you're right. There's salt in your seasonings that you put in there, so I'm not beating it up. Just curious. All right, so you're using a pellet smoker, and you prep it to 275.
275. Get a good smoke rolling.
So place the lobster directly on the smoker grates to give them full exposure to the soak in that smoky goodness. Close the lid and smoke for around 45 minutes. Some very colorful words there for you, Big Ron.
Thanks, buddy.
So while you're smoking, we're going to make the butter, right?
Making the butter, I've got these nice little cast iron pots that I like to use. Made the butter there and put it on the smoker also and let it smoke for a while with it.
Okay. So, but you heat it until in a medium saucepan, low medium, just until the butter melts. So just like it says, right?
Just like it says. Get it in there, mix it up real good. Um, I like to use, like I said, I use that Tillamook butter. It's a better butter. You don't have as much waters and oils in it. It's got a lot of better natural fats in it, so it's got a better flavor.
Okay. So once it's done, what are you gonna do? You gonna add some minced garlic and Italian parsley and things like that into it?
I threw a couple of spoonfuls of minced garlic. I actually used Italian seasoning. I cheated on that one, but yeah, I threw some Italian seasoning in there, mixed it up real good, and tossed it around the smoker.
So we got smoked butter too.
Smoked butter.
So we're gonna use that same butter to baste the lobsters, yeah?
Yes, we are.
Watch this scratchy little video here. You're not shy about it, just like you said. Dump it on there pretty fat.
There's never enough butter.
That is
Okay, so we're gonna cook it. You're gonna cook for another 15 minutes, right? So I'm looking for an internal temperature of 145, right?
Internal temp 145. Let that butter kind of work its way into the meat and kind of simmer in the shell. Finishes it off real good. You don't want it to be you don't want it to be rubbery at all. So you're really kind of looking for that good temperature.
Overcooking can make it rubbery, correct?
Like a ball.
Well, okay. What do you think about that, Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, I stand by my original saying. That looks delicious. I'd probably do a lot more than just taste it. I'd probably eat one or two.
Thanks, Bruce.
No, it did absolutely look good. Maybe that little trick about what I was talking about the lobster is to cut it twice to make that opening a little wider, so you get once you get your thumbs into it, you can work that open almost as much as you need to. But it is hard to get your thumbs in there. It's real tight unless you cut a little spot to get them in there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Cut a section off of each side. Get my big old bare hands in there a little bit deeper.
Yeah, no, you do have some big old fat sausage fingers. I'll give you that.
That is a true story.
And
So
Ron is absolutely right. You cannot overdo it with butter. Like butter and garlic, two things that you really garlic you may be able to overdo. Butter, no such thing as too much.
I don't know. Garlic and butter. I don't think you can overdo the garlic and the butter.
Well,
They just kind of go
let's
together.
let's talk about the smoke taste. Did you get smoke in it? What kind of wood did you use?
So I used just a hickory mesquite blend on this one. It's just what I had in there. Everybody said it was. They do sell blunt kitchen shears there, Sofa King. We don't have any though. They actually sell some with a hook on them too. It did have good smoke flavor to it. I was told the smoke wasn't overpowering. You could definitely taste it, and it had a good finish to it. So that was definitely a good thing.
B liked your lobster too. Who doesn't love lobster, B, except for
Big
my
Ron.
two hosts tonight, both Bruce and we found the only people in the world that don't like lobster. It's weird. But no, they look delicious. They look like they were cooked just at the right temperature. I don't think those were rubbery at all. I don't know that I would need all the garlic on it. To me, a good lobster, maybe a little garlic in the butter, but I don't think I need much more than that.
The Tillamook butter, the way that it tastes, it's got its own good flavor, but to get the garlic to come through it, I felt I needed a little bit more. I was tasting the butter.
Have you
Um,
ever tried clarified butter?
I have actually made clarified butter, and that would have actually worked very well too. I could have clarified the butter and siphoned the impurities off the top and gone that route.
Now, how do you make clarified butter?
You melt your butter down, put it into, you can either use a beaker or um, any kind of container really, and just let it cool, and you'll see it'll separate. And what you want to do is you want to take the fats, the waters, the impurities, basically all the weird looking stuff that floats to the surface, and you spoon that off. And then the bottom section is just pure clarified butter, and it's what you see them use at a lot of restaurants whenever they're doing eggs or steaks or poached eggs. Hamburgers, anything like that, they're using a lot of butter on. They'll use a clarified butter because it gives it a more, I guess, buttery flavor without all the other trash that goes with it.
Well, it's also a cleaner. It doesn't have any solids. Those solids go to clarified butter will stay liquid at lower temperatures, if that makes sense as well.
Yes,
if you've got the fats in there, then it will start to solidify at lower temperatures. So if you got your butter on the table for your lobster and it was a minute before the lobster hit the table and you're at a restaurant, then it would start to have a film over the top of it.
Okay.
All right. Well, we knew B was smart, but she's just really impressing me tonight. She is a lobster purist in clarified butter. I agree with her. Clarified butter would be it for me.
That's all you got there, B, just the butter, nothing else in it.
I've roasted some garlic. And put into the clarified butter for lobster. It's pretty good. But you know what? Quite honestly, clarified butter in lobster is pretty darn good in of itself, in my opinion. And we're waiting on Jason. If he doesn't show up, I'm still going to play his video. We're just going to make fun of him, which is probably going to be more entertaining and more interesting than if he was here. But I'm going to give him another minute.
You want me to narrate in his voice?
Well, now he did Japanese chicken wings, and Jason's impressed me. He's laid in some pretty heavy dishes here the last 3-4 shows. Pretty solid. Each one, in fact, is not like, that's okay. It's something that I'm very interested in trying. I think it would taste very good. And these are no exception. These Japanese smoked chicken wings.
Now, like I said, I made his chili that he did, and I was thoroughly impressed with the flavor profile.
Well, I'm going to say that most of the dishes that he does are not complicated either. It doesn't take a lot to do what he's doing, but they look delicious.
And I hope Jason's watching the stream because B just gave me the go ahead to narrate in Jason's voice.
Yeah, we saw that. All right, guys, let's take a look at it. This is Japanese smoked chicken wings.
Good choice of music, Joe.
Come on, give me some for that, right?
Good choice of music.
Yeah, here we go. It's like the Kung Fu movie theme.
I'll tell you, the color of that looks like duck.
It's not what the package says. But it's simple.
Church
Look,
was to ever go off. If that place ever went out of business, he'd be done.
But no, it's simple though. It's literally 3 ingredients: chicken, some meat church stuff, and Japanese barbecue sauce.
I gotta do the meat church. No meals without meat church.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, I used to eat that barbecue sauce when I was in Japan. And there's a couple different flavors. It's extremely good. So if anybody's never tried it, most stores are carrying it now, and I was very happy to see it in the U.S. So it's very good. It's got its own flavor profile. It's definitely something you should check out.
I was surprised it came this far north, but yep, they are everywhere now.
Man, this hurts my voice. I can't do this.
Yeah.
You got to be a bit louder. Get a little more S on the end of your words.
All right, I'll try that.
No, that hurts. It does.
Okay, but I'm impressed with the Japanese barbecue sauce, something that I've never used, but it's, once again, Jason's got me putting something on my list of something I absolutely want to give a shot because it does sound good. All right, so he marinates the wings pretty much overnight, minimum 4 hours, but he also said he does them overnight. So puts them in a bag, real simple, right? Nothing to it. squeeze some barbecue sauce in a bag with some chicken. He does say in pure simple fashion. Let me go back. I'm sorry. He talks about the chicken. I got distracted there. He does say separate the wings from the drummy in pure Minnesota fashion. I guess what I want to say is the vernacular that I would never called it drummy, maybe a drumstick, but drummy sounds kind of weird. But he says you got to separate those and then put the barbecue sauce in a plastic bag with the wings overnight. I guess that's important, is to separate the wing from the drummy.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I'm not going to dispute what he's saying.
Well, and he's up there using just bare chicken wingettes and drumettes. Why can't we just call them wings and drumsticks? Weird. And we're back to that. Bottle of barbecue, Japanese barbecue in a bag, 4 hours. Now, this is interesting. I never thought about this. He's bringing it out of the marinade. Now he's putting the holy voodoo on it, the meat church dry rub, and he lets it sit for 30 minutes. Why do y'all think that is? He's not here to ask. Why
you got to give that seasoning some time to do its job. I actually do the same thing whenever I season something, especially if it's something that's wet. I'll let the seasoning set 30 minutes to an hour. It absorbs the moisture, works its way into the skin, and works as kind of its own binder.
Yeah, it won't really penetrate like salt will, but it does work its way in, like Ron was saying, to the surface.
Well, I'm sure there's some salt in this holy voodoo, wouldn't you think?
Well, there is, yeah, but the flavoring, I mean, of the rest of the seasonings, that won't soak real deep. So I'd put my rub on about an hour before. I'll put the salt on, let it brine overnight, but then I'll just add the rub about an hour before, let it soak into the moisture.
Okay. What is B talking about in your opinion? I'm not sure she's referring to. Does anybody know?
In my opinion, all chickens should be called drummies.
Oh Lord, here we go. Okay, so you bring them out of the marinade. You dust them down with some dry rub. Holy voodoo is Jason's choice. There we go. We're putting the holy voodoo on it. They look well marinated.
Nice animation.
You like that? We're going to prep the smoker to 250 degrees. And I guess he's looking for 170 to 175 internal temperature. He says about an hour and 15 minutes that'll work. So we're smoking them. They do look good. Now, this is the part I thought was interesting. So he smokes them, but he brings them out and he puts them over a flame to crisp up the skin. I think this is a key to the recipe.
100% agree. That caramelization of that sauce on the outside of that chicken is going to be the star of the show, I think.
I mean, you can see it. You can see it on the edges there. You bet that's got a nice caramelization on the outside. Those are going to be a pleasure to eat. And I bet they did pick up an hour and 15 minutes, probably picked up some pretty good smoke flavor. Like I said, guys, this is another one that Jason submitted that I'm going, well, not only do you think that would be good, it's something I need to try because I need to know what that tastes like.
And chicken takes on smoke extremely quick, so you don't need to cook them that long over smoke to get that flavor.
The skin and all. We'll take on that smoke real well. So Jason with another solid entry. I'm going to give the man that. A solid entry for Jason.
He is yet to disappoint.
Well, that is 100% true. He has not disappointed us yet. Let me see. I'll get back to all of us here. No, that's not it. There we go.
Yeah, that looked good. I would try that.
Yeah, definitely. I might actually have to try that.
Well, one of my problems with barbecue chicken is, especially when people make it with the sauce real heavy, is that a lot of times the skin's rubbery and it's almost it's off-putting to eat chicken that way for me. I need the skin to be crispy. I don't need any I don't need any pushback when I take a bite, if you know what I mean. I guess would that be called pullback? I don't like that. So I think if he had to finish those out seared over flame, I think that's exactly what you would have had. But seared over flame, that was it. That was the piece that pushed it over the edge for me.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, what that was the key to the whole thing, getting that nice sear, the caramelization of those sugars. It probably gave it a nice little charred flavor to go along with that smokiness. That's definitely something I'm gonna have to
Well, now
try. I'm
don't
gonna have to
forget
see
that
what I do.
Japanese barbecue sauce. I can imagine that it's something similar to teriyaki sauce.
That one, surprisingly enough, if I think about it, that one is not. So I think there's four of them, three or four of them, and each one has its own flavor profile. Um, the Japanese like to use a lot of fish or eel sauce in their sauces. And it's its own flavor. I love eel sauce, or unagi is what it's called. It's phenomenal. So that would definitely be what I would think that profile would be closer to.
Yeah, I don't actually hate eel sauce. You're right. It does have a unique flavor you can't quite put your finger on.
No, you can't. But it's definitely the key ingredient to make sushi better.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's where I've tried in sushi and wouldn't be the same without it, honestly.
No, in fact they have it in bottles on the uh, at the tables in sushi restaurants in Japan that they use it so much.
The my issue with not with the with sushi is that a lot of times it doesn't have a lot of flavor, and that's the part I don't. Sushi's okay, but it's not like a warm food. I think it's maybe the cold thing about it, but I just don't get the burst of flavor in there like I do with other foods.
You can go for was it tempura or whatever, where they deep fry. Deep
Yeah,
fry.
See, I'm not a big.
I'll eat sushi, but when it comes to my favorite Asian food would be hibachi style Japanese.
Yeah, I love a good hibachi grill. I'm not a big tempura fan, but with what you're saying about the flavor of the sushi, Joe, it's all going to depend on honestly where you're getting it from. I've noticed with exactly what you're saying with American sushi. I got very spoiled to good sushi overseas, and Japanese sushi in itself is you don't need anything on it. It's very flavorful when you eat it. It's not bland or plain like it is here in the States.
It looks like we got Jason Imposter in here.
What's going on, Jason?
Not a whole lot. Sorry, I got tied up. I missed what you guys were talking about.
We were talking about your Japanese smoked chicken wings.
Oh, did I miss my video?
Well, you did. Didn't know if you were coming or not, but you know what? It's not a long video. Let's do it again. Yeah, Jason, you like that music?
It's interesting.
Like about to watch a kung fu movie.
This is I've probably made this about a half a dozen times since I started it. Very easy to do, very simple, and probably some of the best tasting wings I've ever made. To be honest with you, they're amazing.
Guys, we're getting some heck of a weather here. I like the fact that it's real simple. It's three ingredients: chicken wings, a couple of seasonings. But what's up with drummy? What does drummy mean? Is that the what? I don't know. I feel honestly, I feel weird as an adult saying that word.
Must be a northern thing. So you have the wing with the two bones, and then they have the miniature drumstick, like the leg. So we call them drummies up here. So if you buy wings that the wing and the ankle are connected, I always cut those in half. Follow me?
I'm following. Yep.
Okay. We call them drummies. Sorry, Joe.
I don't know that I'd want to. I see why you cut them in half. I don't know that I'd want to eat them together like that.
They're just easier to eat.
Yeah, they'd be flopping around, making a mess. We may have lost Joe. He said he was having some weather, and now he may be wandering around Oz.
Yeah, they're definitely getting some weather up there. So just so everybody knows in here, if we lose the stream ahead of time, thanks for coming. Make sure you like, share, and repost. Hopefully Joe will be back and we won't lose the stream.
We can leave this video up here. I can just kind of explain the process since it's so simple. So you take your chicken wings. I marinated it in the Japanese barbecue sauce. I went overnight. It's the first time I tried it. I don't think I'd do that again. I'd probably stop no later than about 8 hours. Pull them out of the marinade, dry them off, and then I coated them with holy voodoo. And then I smoked them. I believe it was 250 for about, they got up to 170 degrees in about an hour and 10 minutes. And I've learned that with chicken wings, if you marinate them, I mean, they're done at 165, but they can handle much more heat than that. So all said and done, most of these wings were eaten at about, or pulled off completely from heat at about 175 to 180. Once they hit about 170 for me, I pulled them off. And then the one thing I like about my Pit Boss grill is I can open a vent to have an open flame, and I cranked it up to 500, and I gave them a char on each side, which basically took about, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes per wing, where you can kind of crispy them up.
Hey, brother, I'm back now.
Okay.
Sorry, we're literally having a storm with some real high winds that just popped through.
All right, I'll be quiet.
No, go ahead. I want to get to the part that you were talking about. My apologies. Have y'all talked about this Japanese barbecue sauce?
No.
Tell us about that. We were having a discussion about it, and Big Ron says that in Japan they have like 3 different kinds. What's the flavor profile of this Japanese barbecue sauce used?
So that company makes yeah, Ron's correct. There's 3 different kinds. The first one I did, I don't know the name of it, but the label was red. I found that I liked the green label the best. It paired well with the holy voodoo. Walmart carries it. Ace Hardware carries it. You can order it online, but it's amazing, especially on chicken. It really it doesn't taste like over the top, Oriental taste. It just is a.
What would you compare it to? Like teriyaki sauce? I mean, give me something.
A little bit. Kind of a combination of teriyaki and Worcester, maybe. It's hard to explain. It's a sweet sauce, but the chicken absorbs it very well, and that's why I think I marinated too long on this recipe. I usually go for about 6 hours, and I let this one go overnight. It was still great, but it's a sweet Japanese flavor.
Okay. B is asking, is hosen sauce, not sure about the spelling, the same kind of sauce or a totally different thing? Same as the sauce we're talking about, I think. Does anybody know what this sauce she's speaking of? Big Ron?
Yeah, I've had it. It's really hard to compare. It is, but hosen's a little thicker. I think a better comparison would be HP sauce. If you've ever had that, it's a British type sauce. It's kind of like A1 and Worcestershire together. When it comes to a lot of sauces from other countries that are specialty sauces like this, they really do have their own flavor profiles. And it's really hard to kind of nail down exactly how they taste. You just have to taste it.
Well, thank you for saying a lot and telling us nothing. Gave me nothing. Neither one of y'all did actually on that. I'm gonna try it myself, and then I'll know.
And knowing's half the battle.
So this is where the Star Wars moment kind of came in, Joe.
It was actually it's called the Imperial March. I think it's like when the Japanese were like marching to come attack Pearl Harbor or something. So there you are putting the voodoo on.
Uh,
Good video you sent, by the way.
I think I let the voodoo sit for about a half hour, and going back again. It really is a quick smoke.
So just put them on the rack and smoke them for about an hour and 15 minutes or so, right?
Yep. And then I was saying, what the reason I'm kind of a pit boss fan is I can get an open flame on it. You can see under the wings. You can open up those vents and get an open flame and kind of do a reverse sear. So I literally just threw the wings back on after they were about 170 degrees, threw them on over the open flame, flipped them after a minute, put the next ones on, and they were done.
And this is the part that I said when you weren't on the show, that this was the genius part. Normally, when barbecue chicken's done, and I'm not going to bore the few people that are listening to me to tell the story again, but it's the rubber skin. This right there takes care of it. I think it would have been rubbery skin if you didn't take this step in sear and crisp them up, which I think is genius.
Yeah, when you marinate chicken, especially, it's really hard to get the rubbery skin gone. But you can see in the pictures. I mean, they're charred. It was crispy, and the flavor between the voodoo and the Japanese sauce is, like I said, this is a staple we use. My kids love this. We brought it over to a police Christmas party, and one of the cops' girls walked up and filled her plate up with she must have taken 20 of those. She had one and was like, oh my God, these are great. But I do highly recommend trying this recipe. It's amazing for chicken wings.
Now, brother, I'm on it, and that's what we said before you came in here. I guess we'll say it again so you can hear it, but it's definitely on the list. You turned in some real solid ones over the last few shows. Some of those, some will do them, but just be honest. They're like, okay, that sounds good. I don't know if I'm going to go through the effort to do it, but you've turned in some solids here over the last few weeks that have gone on my list that I absolutely have to do, and see what that is. I just need to taste that and see what it tastes like. But outstanding, and I like your recipes. They're super simple. It's not real complicated. You don't need a whole lot of different ingredients that are difficult to find, but you're putting together real solid smoked meals, which I'm super impressed.
Did you just give me a compliment?
Yeah, I might have. This is a bad storm. I don't know if I'll survive it, so I figured I'd just do something good before. But guys, that's all. We have 2 recipes this week. We'll get some more going for next week as well. But that's going to be our show. I want to thank Big Ron and Jason for providing the 2 excellent dishes that we had tonight. Jason, you should go back and rewatch and see the lobster tails that Big Ron did for a guy who doesn't eat lobster. Do you eat lobster? You're from up north. Maybe you don't eat it either. You don't like lobster, Jason?
No, I love lobster, and I like crab legs better, but I like lobster too.
Yeah, crab legs are no joke either. Yeah, that's good stuff. But you should go back and look at. He did a good job on doing some split tail lobster and smoked it. It's another one that goes on my list of I need to try that. I need to see, but I don't think I've ever had smoked lobster.
I have not either. That actually sounds amazing. I will go back and watch that.
All right, guys, give me about 20 minutes and we'll do an after party on X. But give me about 20 minutes to see what's going on with this this little old storm that just whipped up on us out here. We got some wind and some other things, but give me about 15 minutes to kick up an after party. But other than that, I sure appreciate everybody participating and doing these dishes, and 2 real solid ones tonight. Thanks, guys.
Do you have any profession?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made
Do
intent.
you have any occupation?
I refuse to answer on the grounds of made intent.
Are you a known racketeer?